What's it like to live at and work at the Black Shores? From a bloom bearer to a consultant, what are the positions and who are the people who work here? I'll answer these questions, but first a slight history lesson about the Black Shores, as I believe that by understanding the history of a place, you can more accurately understand the people as well. Founded shortly after Rover woke the Shorekeeper and resonated with her, he claimed to have already seen the end of the world with her, and this is further backed by the end of wandering that they shared together. Together, they founded the Black Shores at the Tethys Systems location. The Black Shores were not a pre-lament organization, but parts of it sort of are, such as Tethys, as Tethys was created by a civilization that did predate the lament, although Tethys itself was created during the first lament alongside Rover, Shorekeeper, and at least one other redacted individual. Blessed by those before him, Rover is set on finding a way to stop the lament and restore order to the universe, instead of staying content in this unjust chaos that threatens life itself. Together, they founded the Black Shores as a means to help bringing about that better tomorrow they dreamed of. This place has space anchors, which are anchored around the shores, calibrating and stabilizing the frequencies of the tacitite it sits upon. This means that it is quite literally a space of virtual reality, and is why only members of the Black Shores can enter. However, there is someone from Lolo Logistics who managed to deliver a package there funnily enough, and no, it wasn't Lumi. There's a black hole that Tethys uses as a garbage dump for faulty data. However, since data is a literal part of reality, that means this discarded and faulty data is as well, and can cause issues with it as we saw happen in the main story. This is also why Rover and Shorekeeper didn't need to do anything too special after she saved Rover, and again after Rover saved her. The very act of doing that and finishing the data we collected in the city of Guishu was able to help cause Tethys to calm down. However, it is still not fully fixed. This is closer to a band-aid solution. The Mobius loop is still active, using the lament to fight the lament, but Rover did succeed in saving Shorekeeper, so the main objective of his self-inflicted amnesia was successful. However, aside from Rover and Shorekeeper, what do the others do? Well, if you're a bloom bearer, then you might be cooked. Your job as a blue bearer is essentially to carry duties mostly within the territories of the Black Shores. However, bloom bearers are also sent to assist in rebuilding civilizations and other nations after a lament strikes, and to investigate waveform phenomenon occurrences in foreign lands. Think of them like soldiers but with some extra steps. You are not required to be a resonator to be a bloom bearer. Camellia is a bloom bearer, and currently she is the only one playable. However, we do know of other bloom bearers, such as Hoda, who unfortunately had the fate of essentially having her soul be tortured for years on end in the event horizon of a black hole by Tethys. Up next, we also have consultants, which are the ones we are most familiar with. They are talented individuals from across the world, invited by the Black Shores themselves. Operating abroad, frequently traversing the world of Solaris 3, they often investigate, collecting information, and deal with public relations. Aalto and Encore are both consultants of the Black Shores. Aalto even invited Zhang Liao to the Black Shores, but unfortunately, he declined the invitation. Those of you who consider Zhang Liao as a husbando, Aalto tried acting as your wingman, but you might have to go and do it yourself. Consultants also appear to have a lot of freedom, capable of bringing in privately owned ships and other items to the shores as well. They, like the other branches of the Black Shores, have their own salary, but seem more free to create business ventures of their own. Should also be mentioned that Aalto is something of a small legend in the Black Shores, where he managed to convince a couple people to water his tree that will supposedly make money for him. It should also be noted that the Black Shores invitations are created by Tethys itself and its detection systems. Though we also have gardeners who are in charge of organizing information, especially that of new candidates. The Tethys system also has a way to detect candidates, so these gardeners likely work with Tethys on this end. The creator of Camellia also knew of this Tethys detection system. Perhaps this creator of hers belonged to the gardeners, or perhaps they're the redacted figure I mentioned earlier. However, what's it like to live here at the Black Shores? The Black Shores is the safest place on the planet. Its coordinates are not subject to change, and it will always remain where it is, even though the rest of the world itself might change. Immune to time thanks to the effects of Tacitite. If you work at the Black Shores, you only have to worry about Tethys going sicko mode in order to try and eat your leader. Speaking of which, Rover doesn't believe in leaving anyone behind. Your leader is also your greatest protector. If an enemy wants to get to you, they have to get through Rover. Unless your enemy is Camellia, in which case, I hope you can throw hands. And no, you absolutely cannot fix Camellia. However, let's dig a bit deeper into it all. Aalto and Encore often bring back souvenirs to others who work there, and Encore even spends time on phone calls while off being a consultant, consulting and consoling those who are home at the Black Shores. The people there are, for lack of a better term, closer to a family than an organization. Rover and the Shorekeeper basically act as the parents, with Camellia being the violent problem child and Uncle Aalto always looking for some sort of a way to make more money and to make it as fast as he can. The members of the Black Shores often speak about Caramel, Roverkeeper, Altoids, and Encore. Living here isn't exactly paradise, like I mentioned earlier. Many members meet horrific fates in the fight against the lament. So I suppose you'll have long periods of peace without fear, but when that fear is there, the lament might just kill you in the most horrific ways imaginable. Due to the sheer age of the Black Shores, parts of it are beginning to malfunction like any technology, from the bots to the Tethys system itself. It also doesn't help that they have so much information, they face the same problem the Imperium of Man and Warhammer 40k does. So many records and information, it becomes impossible to sift through them all. Oh, and there is a recorded instance of Rover trying to simulate a civilization and nearly crashing the Tethys system. To be honest with you, if you were invited to the Black Shores, it is probably where you can do the most good for the world overall and save the most lives. However, you will often be required to put your life on the line to save others, and as we know, some civilizations don't like the Black Shores nor their bloom bearers. Camellia, of course, makes everything harder for everyone. As for work relations, considering Rover and Shorekeeper are there, I see no reason why anything like that would be forbidden. Everyone isn't always professional there, they have time off, and aren't working 24/7. Rover doesn't seem to treat them like slaves and even goes to have fun, eat, or play games with other people while he's not doing anything special. Not to mention, there's a lone man lamenting about the loss of a loved one. No one seems to have an issue believing Aalto is Encore's uncle. While there is a lot of surface information, there isn't a lot of detail going too deep. Ironic considering the Black Shores are split between an upper and an underground layer. However, there is a man there oddly at peace, watching the large central piece, listening to the last recording that his lover left for him, basking in the bittersweetness of life. Perhaps we can learn something from this individual ourselves. That just because we lost something doesn't mean we ourselves are lost. That life goes on, the cruelty of time never ceases, yet we still remain. And because we remain, we must persist. Just like our leader, just like our Rover, who has lost so much and has failed to save people such as those like Wei Shu. But he too shares a smile. Rover too sits down and engages with us all. One must imagine Rover as happy that enduring the eternal suffering of mankind is not a burden upon him, and that his Shorekeeper is to thank for that. Perhaps the man we see basking in the bittersweetness of life on the edge of this cliff is none other than a warning for Rover, and what could have befallen him. A life of solitude, alone, facing the future, with no one there to aid him. A lonely odyssey, simply pressing forward because that is his mission. Perhaps it is the Black Shores here that keep Rover human, that keep Rover invested in the people. Perhaps because of the normal people who work there, dedicated their short lives to something that can only be called hope, is what has kept Rover aggressively pursuing his goal. Every single person who works at the Black Shores means something to Rover. Every single person Rover has ever met means something to them. Perhaps the greatest heroes are the ones who simply work, the ones who keep the shores clean, the ones who cook food, the ones who compute data and compile reports, the mundane everyday tasks that people hate. Perhaps those are Rover's heroes. The Black Shores and how it operates gives us a lot of insight into Rover specifically, as it is a creation of Rover and Shorekeepers together. The freedom the individuals have in the organization, the safety, the unified vision of a better future. The Black Shores is a sanctuary within the world. It is Rover's home, and because of that, it gives us a glimpse into Rover's soul. And because of that, the normal people who live there are partial reflections of this, sharing similar ideas and beliefs, holding their own legends and acting freely, yet orderly. The Black Shores would perhaps be the best location to be born at, and the best place to work at within Solaris 3, from food made by Rover or Shorekeeper themselves being a common commodity, to fighting for the very survival of humanity. It is not for the faint of heart, but for those who are strong-willed and have something or someone to protect.